Hello and welcome to Lukman IAS. So in this particular video, we'll be seeing the PYQs from the economy section of the UPSC prelims questions. So the years that we'll be covering is 2021, 2020 and 2019. In the other video, we had covered the years which are 2022, 2023 and 2024. And in the last video, we'll be covering the further 3 years backward. So quickly we'll see the questions which have been asked and we'll be actually covering those topics from current relevance. So there have been developments. Some of the questions you'll find out that the answers are different, but we'll be also talking about the development because UPSC has asked that question from that year's perspective. But the things have improved, there have been changes in those data and all these things. So we'll be talking about these things also, okay. So first we'll be covering the questions from 2021. So this was the year in which UPSC changed the way of asking questions from economy because they started asking those statement based questions. So this was the year. From there they have started this statement based question, long statements, okay. So the first question is, the money multiplier in an economy increases with which one of the following? So what is money multiplier? Money multiplier, it is how many times the initial deposit tries to multiply itself, and that is nothing but 1 upon the reserve ratio, that is the cash reserve ratio. However, there are other ways, there are other things which actually lead to increased money multiplier, and this is how we'll try to answer this question. So increase in cash reserve ratio. So if we try to increase the cash reserve ratio, if this is money multiplier, if this increases, obviously that would mean the money multiplier reduces because it is reciprocal of the cash reserve ratio. So essentially CRR should go down, but here it is saying that CRR is increasing. So that is why A is incorrect. Increase in the statutory liquid ratio, there is no connection between SLR and money multiplier. So that is why that is non-relevant. Increase in banking habit, this is the correct answer. So if more people are connected with bank, they will try to park in more deposits, and this is how more money would get multiplied in the economy. This is all about the way things progress in terms of financial inclusion. So C is the correct answer for this particular question. Increase in the population of the country, it is indirect. Increase in the population of the country does not mean that all people would start having their bank account, they'll start depositing money in the bank account. But increasing banking habit would essentially mean that there would be more money which would go into banks as deposits and increasing the money multiplier in the economy, okay. Second question, with reference to the Indian economy, demand pull inflation. So again, new term, demand pull inflation. So from demand perspective, you have to try to eliminate things. So if there is more demand than supply, that would lead to demand pull inflation, there would be inflationary gap. So if there is expansionary policy, that means more money for people. Expansionary policy means tax cuts. So if the government tries to reduce the tax, that is expansionary policy. It could be monetary expansion where the interest rates are brought down. That is also expansionary policy. That itself means that there is more money at the hand of people, in the hands of public, or essentially they can try and take loan at a lower interest rate. That is also expansionary policy. So this is actually correct because that would increase demand of goods and services, obviously. Second is fiscal stimulus. Obviously, fiscal stimulus straight away gives money, direct cash in hand of people. That is fiscal stimulus, a kind of thing. So that is also demand pull inflation. Inflation indexed wages. This is no impact on inflation as demand is inflation adjusted. So if the demand is inflation adjusted, obviously there won't be any demand led inflation. So that is why this is not the answer. Higher purchasing power, obviously if there is more income for the people, they have more money in their hands and they can purchase more things. That is higher purchasing power. That is also demand pull inflation. Rising interest rate is a cost push inflation. It's a cost push Inflation where if interest rate increases, the cost of capital or the capital which we know that it is one of the factors of production that would go in, that would increase, and that is a cost push inflation rather than a demand pull inflation. So this is incorrect. So 1, 2 and 4 are correct. A is the correct answer. Okay. Third, with reference to India, consider the following statements. Retail, so this is a factual question. If you know it, you should try it, else you can skip these questions. Retail investors through demat account can invest in treasury bills and Government of India debt bonds. So this particular demat account is RBI Retail Direct scheme, wherein retail investors can directly invest in the primary market of the government bonds. So negotiated dealing system order matching is a government securities trading platform by the Reserve Bank of India. This is also correct. This is also correct. Both the statements are factually correct. The CDSL, Central Depository Services Limited, is jointly promoted by Reserve Bank of India and Bombay Stock Exchange. No, there is no ownership or there is no partnership by the Reserve Bank of India. In NSDL, National Security Depository Limited, there is certain partnership of the Reserve Bank of India, but not in case of CDSL. So this is incorrect. 1 and 2 statements are correct. B is the correct answer. Okay. Fourth question. In India, the central banks function of the lender of last resort. Last resort means crisis situation. So you need to know about this. Lender to last resort is a function which is performed by the Reserve Bank of India for bailing out banks which are facing certain risks. Example is Yes Bank. Yes Bank was about to fail, but because of certain prudent activities by the Reserve Bank of India and SBI getting directives from the Reserve Bank of India, this collapse was saved. So that is providing liquidity to the banks having a temporary crisis. If they have exhausted all their means to come out of the crisis, they can go to RBI and say that please save our soul. That is an SOS. Okay, that is the lender to last resort. Apart from that, this is nothing. This is banker to the government. So the banker to the government is explained in the third statement, that not the lender to last resort. So B is the correct answer. 2 only. Fifth question. Consider the following statements. The governor of the Reserve Bank of India is appointed by the central government. This is correct. The certain provisions in the Constitution of India give the central government the right to issue directives or directions to the RBI in public interest. There is no such thing in the Constitution of India that they will be going and saying that okay, the central government has the power to give directions to the Reserve Bank of India. All these things are dealt in the Reserve Bank of India Act, RBI Act 1934, not a constitutional provision. So this is an incorrect statement. The governor of RBI draws his power from the RBI Act. This is correct. So 1 and 3 are correct. C is the correct answer. RBI Act has all those stipulated functionaries and functions of the governor as to how he can have those powers as an autonomous institution. So these all are spelled in the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. It's 1934. So first and third, C is the correct answer. Question 6th. So with reference to casual workers employed in India, casual workers obviously they won't have written contracts. It would be on the whims and fancy of the employer as to when and how they can be terminated from the work. So all casual workers are entitled for EPFO coverage? No. It's all for the formal sector employees, not for the informal. Casual workers are largely informal employees. All casual workers are entitled for regular working hours and overtime payment. This is correct. Minimum Wages Act stipulates that there has to be a specific condition that these works needs to be paid for these many hours, and if there is an hours beyond the normal hours, then overtime up to 1.5 times of the hourly wage rate becomes the overtime payment. That also applies to casual workers also, not only to the formal workers only. So this is correct. First is incorrect. The government can by notification specify that an establishment or industry shall pay wages only through bank account. This is correct. 2 or 3 is correct. Payment of Wages Act has this provision that it can be only be paid through bank account to account transfer, so not through cash. B is the correct answer. 7th question. So which of the following steps is most likely to be taken at the time of economic recession? So what is economic recession? Economic recession. So it is year on year GDP value goes down, also known as negative growth rate. See, if there is a temporary blip in one of the quarters, that is not considered as a recession. Recession is far more prolonged. It has to have certain features like the demand. There is demand, you can say the demand has stagnated. There's there's a visible pessimism. The government does not feel that they can come out with certain incentives, even if they have tried those stimulus packages. The economy is not moving up. These conditions are considered to be recession, and that is always because it is coupled with job losses, okay, mass layoffs. So in that case, what would be the ideal stance of the government? Cut in tax rate, this is correct. They should cut the tax rate to stimulate demand. But the second thing is accompanied by increase in interest rate. So if on the other hand, the fiscal policy says that we need to be expansionary, but the monetary policy says that we need to be tight. We need to be contractionary. How is this possible? They need to be both in same order. So that is why this is incorrect. Increase in expenditure on public project. This is correct. And this is the only answer for this particular question. What happens in case of economic recession? It is the government that starts heavy lifting. It starts spending money on those infrastructure projects, and it actually incentivizes more job creation and also stimulates private sector investments in the economy, and this is how the economy is revived back into the positive growth track. So B is the correct answer for this particular question. Eighth. So other things remaining unchanged. So this is a condition. Other things remaining unchanged means other factors have been kept constant. Market demand for a goods might increase if the price of its substitute increases. This is correct. Tea, coffee. Coffee, this is the main good. This is the substitute good. Obviously, if this price increases, obviously people would start preferring tea, and the demand of tea as a main good under consideration would increase. So this is correct. Price of its complement increase. So what is the complement for tea? It's sugar. So if sugar price increase, obviously people would start not consuming, they'll start reducing tea consumption also. This is an ideal condition. I'm not saying that you'll start arguing that no, people they will have addiction, they are accustomed to consuming tea. We have told already that other things have been kept constant. The taste, preferences, addiction, all these things have been kept constant. We are only talking about one-to-one interaction between price and quantity demanded. Okay, so that is why this is incorrect. The goods is an inferior good and the income of consumer increases. Obviously, if that is an inferior good, suppose you were using a tape recorder and your income increased, obviously you'll switch to say different music player, a big music player, boat music player, not you'll start using tape recorder, because for you, as your income increases, you have more purchasing power and you'll start moving away from consumption of inferior goods towards more normal as well as luxurious good. So that is why this is incorrect. And its price falls. This is obviously correct. That is a peculiar classic case of law of demand. If the price goes down, the demand increases. Okay. So 1 and 4 are only correct. E is the correct answer. 9th. With reference to urban cooperative banks in India, consider the following statements. They are supervised and regulated by RBI. So this has been the change in the recent Banking Regulation Act 2020, where urban cooperative banks have been brought under the folds of the Reserve Bank of India in totality. Okay, so this is incorrect. Even in that case also they had dual regulation. The state government had regulation through local bodies as well as RBI. But because of increased failures, because of increased instances of you can say hazy corporate governance and all these things, it was brought under the folds of RBI as the total regulation and supervisory from RBI's end. So first is incorrect. They can issue equity shares and preference shares. This is correct. What are equity shares and preference shares? You go and read in the capital market. Equity shares give you the voting right, but preference shares does not give you the voting right. This is the plain difference between these two types of shares, but both of them can be issued by the Urban Cooperative Bank. They were brought under the purview of the Banking Regulation Act through an amendment in 1966. This is correct. And another further amendments was done in 2020, and 100% purview has been through the Reserve Bank of India. So 2 and 3 is the correct answer. B is the correct answer for this particular question. 10th question. Indian government bond yields are influenced by which of the following? All of them. It is influenced by all of the factors which have been listed in this particular question. First, actions of the United States Fed Reserve. If US Fed rate goes down, if it goes down, what would happen? Interest rate differentials increases. What does it mean? So if the interest rate in India is say 7% and US it has gone down from 4 to 3%, the differential becomes from 7% to 3%, net of 4%. So now foreign investors would say that, okay, now start buying US Indian bond. And the demand of Indian bond would increase. That means the yield would go down. So yields are influenced by the decisions of US Fed Reserve. It may increase if there is more increase in the interest rates by US Fed. Okay. Actions of Reserve Bank of India, obviously the interest rates, domestic interest rates have direct linkages with the yields as well as the bond prices, demand of the bonds. So they are also interlinked. Inflation in short-term interest rates. Obviously, if there is inflation, there would be tenor premium, the yields would change, and these are also influenced by these factors. So all the three answers are correct. 11th question. So consider the following. Foreign currency. So which of the above can be included in foreign direct investment? So first you need to know about what is investments and what are deposits. Deposits are debt creating liabilities. Here we are talking about foreign investments and foreign deposits. Foreign players or non-residents, they are depositing in India. We are talking about that reference. This is non-debt creating. Obviously, these all are part of capital account of the balance of payment. Now, foreign currency convertible bonds, if there is investment in that, that would be considered as a part of FDI because foreign currency convertible bond. Technically, convertible bond has the option to get it converted into equity. So in a way, there would be an ownership of the company. And if there is an ownership of the company, these are non-debt creating, and that is a part of foreign, that can be part of foreign direct investment. So here it has been said that there is a possibility to it. Yes, there is a possibility to it. Foreign institutional investments with certain conditions, this is correct. The certain condition is more than 10%. At any point of time, if they have held more than 10% of the fully freeable or fully paid up capital or the shares which are free floating, then that investment is not considered to be FII, that is considered to be a part of FDI. This is also correct. Global depository receipt, this is also correct because depository receipts, in a way, if the US investor is investing in GDRs of say Tata Motors, supposedly if they have issued GDRs in USA, that in a way the foreign investor, the US investor is owning the shares of Tata indirectly. This is also an investment because this is also non-debt creating. That is also part of FDI only. Can be. But non-resident external deposit, this is not investment, this is a liability. So 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Okay, 1, 2 and 3 are correct. 12th question. The effect of devaluation of a currency. Devaluation under the fixed exchange rate regime. Fixed exchange rate system. Lowering the value of local currency with respect to foreign currency by not the market forces but by the government. This is devaluation. So if devaluation is done, obviously the competitiveness of domestic exports increases because the real level, the real effective exchange rate goes down and the currency goes from overvalued towards valuation, par valued or undervalued. So there would be more goods and services which can be imported from the domestic economy by foreign importer by exchanging the same unit of the foreign currency. Using one USD, if India's currency, suppose India follows this fixed exchange rate system, and Indian government has said that from today onwards, one USD would be 90 rupees, for example. So that is a devaluation from 84 to 90. In that case, the US importer would now get, if they are investing, if they are paying $1, they'll get 90 rupees worth of goods and services from India. And this is how trade competitiveness or export competitiveness of India would increase. Increases the foreign value of domestic currency. This is absurd. Obviously, it lowers down the value. Improves the trade balance. This is partially true. Why? Because here we are talking about necessarily. It has to be true, because if there is devaluation, it is 100% sure that the export competitiveness would increase, but that would also increase the cost of imports. Import prices would also increase because now we will have to convert more local currency to get the same amount of US dollar or any foreign currency, and that would mean our cost of imports would increase. So in a net, we cannot be sure that our total foreign trade or trade balance would be improving. It going down. So we are not sure on this. However, we are sure on the first part. So A is only correct. 13th question, which of the following effects of creation of black money in India has been the main cause of worry to the government of India? Main cause of worry is tax evasion. So loss of revenue to the state exchequer due to tax evasion. D is the correct answer for this particular question. 14th, which of the following is likely to be the most inflationary in effects? What could be more inflationary? If to fund the fiscal deficit, the government has directed RBI to start printing currency, that is monetization of deficit. This is most inflationary. Okay, so D is the correct answer. Now we'll move to the questions which were asked in 2020 prelims examination from the economy section. Okay. So the first question was, if another global financial crisis happens in the near future, which of the following actions or policies are most likely to give some immunity to India? So it means India will be protected, or India would be less exposed to that global financial crisis in that case when India does not depend on foreign borrowings. This is correct. If India is dependent on foreign borrowings, global financial crisis would likely lead to currency depreciation for the local currency or the Indian rupees, and in that case India would be seeing the currency risk. And if not depending on foreign borrowings, India would be insulated from any kind of these global financial crisis, leading to negative impacts on the country. So this is all about correct. If opening up of more foreign banks, this is incorrect because foreign banks would start failing. Because of the financial crisis, it may start failing like Lehman Brothers failed in 2008. It may so happen that another foreign banks may fail and Indian subsidiaries would also feel the heat. They may also start failing. So that is why this is not a prudent step, because this would be leading to exposure of India to the global financial crisis. Maintaining full capital account convertibility is utterly you can say we should not be the government should not be going into these things, because if there is full capital account convertibility or full account convertibility, the capital would move from India. There would be capital flight. People would start dumping stocks from India. They will start selling their assets and will move out from India. So only one would give certain kind of immunity, that is A. Second question. If you withdraw rupees 1 lakh in cash from your demand deposit account, that is savings account, at your bank, the immediate effect on aggregate money supply is nil, because M1 has two important things. One is currency with public and another is demand deposit. Go and see the aggregates of money supply. M1 is these two factors. So if you have pulled money from this, basically you have just converted into cash, nothing has changed in terms of aggregate money supply. Okay, so it will leave it unchanged. Gold tranche or reserve tranche is a part of credit system granted by IMF to its members. So there are two things, one is SDR, other is reserve transposition. SDR is allocated based on quota to member countries, special drawing rights, and out of that 25% of that quota is the reserve transposition. So that is nothing but gold tranche. You go and see, this forms the part of India's foreign exchange reserves. If you go and see the components of foreign exchange reserves, so if we talk about the foreign exchange reserves component, first is foreign currency asset, second is gold bullion, third is SDR quota, and fourth is reserve transposition. Okay, so D is the correct answer for question number 3. Fourth, in India, which of the following can be considered as public investment in agriculture? Basically, capital expenditure. You go and search which all qualify as capital expenditure in agriculture. So, fixing minimum support price, nothing. That is not capex. You're not creating any assets. That is all about the consumptive part. No. Computerization of packs. This is correct. You're investing. You're actually computerizing. You're upgrading the technology. So second is correct. Social capital development, this is correct. For example, cooperative farming. You are promoting farmers to join as a common force or creating, say, farmers producers organization, FPOs. These are also social capital development. Okay, this is correct. Free electricity supply, no. This is all again consumptive part. No capital, no assets are being created. Waiver of agricultural loan, no. Consumptive part. Setting up of cold storage facility, yes. Capital investment, it's the capital expenditure. So we have 2, 3 and 6. C is the correct answer for this particular question. Okay. So fifth question says, what is the importance of the term interest coverage ratio? Interest coverage ratio is profit upon tax upon interest payable. So how many times the PAT is able to cover for the interest which is payable for a company? This is a business studies question, not in economy. So in economy, they keep on asking questions from business studies also. You need to gauge on these things, okay? So it helps in understanding the present risk of a firm that bank is going to give loan to, present risk as well as the emerging risk, both risk. If interest coverage ratio is less, it is risky. If the higher a borrowing firm's level of interest coverage ratio, better is its ability, not worse. If this is higher, if it is higher, this means profit after tax is better. Profits which the company is generating is better, and they can easily cover for the interest which is payable, which is liable for them to pay to the creditors or the banks which have issued them the loans. And if they have higher interest coverage ratio, it is a way of signaling that the company is in a best of the financial health conditions. Okay, that is incorrect. So 1 and 2 only are the correct statements. Sixth question, which of the following factors or policies were affecting the prices of rice in India in the recent past? all the factors. Minimum support price, if MSP increases, the market price would also increase. Government's trading, if the government trades, government starts procuring more rice, less would be available in the market and the price of the rice would increase because the government has bought most of the rice which are sold in open market. Government stockpiling, obviously, if the government starts procuring more under the public distribution system, then the prices of the rice would increase and consumer subsidies also. So all the factors are affecting the price of rice. Seventh, consider the following statements. It's a factual question. The question have been asked from the data which were issued in the 2020 context. However, we'll talk about this. These data still hold relevant today also. So the value of Indo-Sri Lanka trade has consistently increased? No, there is no trend. It has improved, then again gone down. In COVID years, post-COVID, there was total collapse. Again, they have got revived up. So there's no context. Textile and textile articles constitute an important trade between India and Bangladesh. This is correct. First is incorrect. In the last 5 years, Nepal has been the largest trading partner. No, it is Bangladesh in South Asia. In the world, it is China. China is the largest trading partner. There is a competition between China and US. As to who is the largest, which country is the largest trading partner? Currently, it is China. So only second statement is correct. Okay. Eighth question, under the Kisan credit card scheme, short-term credit support can be given to all purposes. Working capital for maintenance of farm assets, purchase of combined harvesters, tractors, this is mechanization, consumption requirement, suppose there is a grain loss or the grain is about to be harvested just preceding that period, there could be certain ways where the grains are not available for personal consumption. Post harvest, it would be resupplied. That is also eligible to be accessed under the Kisan credit card. Post harvest expenses also, construction of family houses and setting up of village cold storage facility. All. Consider the following statements. The weightage of food in CPI is higher than WPI. This is correct. For food, CPI it is round about 46%. WPI it is around about 24%. The WPI does not capture change in the prices of services. This is correct. WPI does not gauge the services price movement. And Reserve Bank of India has adopted CPI combined. CPI is released by National Statistical Office, combined figure. There is also another CPI which is CPI industrial worker, CPI agricultural laborer, CPI rural laborer. So these figures, worker related data is released by the Labour Bureau under the Ministry of Labour and Employment. However, these CPI urban, CPI rural and CPI combined data, all India, is released by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, specifically the National Statistical Office, NSO. But this is incorrect. They have talked about WPI. So A is the correct answer, 1 and 2 only. 10th question. Consider the following statements. In the case of all cereals, pulses and oilseeds, the procurement in MSP is unlimited? No. Open procurement policy is procure as much as is brought to the mandi, is only confined to rice, wheat and of late notified pulses like tur, urad, moong, etc. And they also add certain oil seeds also. Not for all the crops which get MSP, for which MSP is announced. In the case of cereals and pulses, the MSP is fixed in any state at a level to which the market price will never rise. No. The market price is independent of MSP. However, they try to fix it at a way that the farmers are not at loss. But the market prices may go up, may go down. If that goes below MSP, then obviously the farmers would start selling to the government. And if it goes above MSP, obviously they'll start and sell in the open market rather than give it to the government for procurement. There's no condition for it. So both the statements are incorrect. D is the correct answer. 11th question. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. Commercial paper is a short-term unsecured promissory note. This is correct. Commercial paper is issued by non-financial institutions, specifically say Reliance issuing certain commercial paper to temporarily justify their mismatch in cash flows, that is allowed. Certificate of deposit is a short-term instrument. Short-term instrument which is issued by financial institution, not by RBI, by banks, etc. Other financial institutions. This is incorrect. Call money is a short-term finance used by interbank transaction. This is correct. Zero coupon bonds are interest bearing, no interest free. These are discounted bonds. It does not have any interest or coupon payment, rather they are issued at discount, say rupees 90 they will be issued and they will be redeemed at the time of maturity at the face value, say rupees 100. So you paid 90 rupees at the time of purchase, but you got 100 at the time of maturity, that is the zero coupon bond. So 1 and 3 are correct, C is the correct answer. 12th question. With reference to FDI in India, which one of the following is considered its major characteristics? B. It is largely non-debt creating capital flow. FDI is ownership kind of a thing. It does not have any liability part attached to it. It is investment through capital instrument, essentially in a listed company. No, it can be unlisted also. Unlisted also. First is incorrect. It is investment which involves debt servicing. No, that is debt, external debt. It is investment made by foreign institutional investments in government securities. It could be, if that is less than 10%, it is FPI, not FDI. This is also incorrect, this is also incorrect. So B is the only correct answer. Thirteenth question. With reference to the international trade of India at present, which of the following statement is correct, is or are correct? India's merchandise exports are less than its merchandise import. This is correct. There is a trade deficit of more than 180 billion USD. So India imports $180 billion more than the total exports. India's imports of iron and steel have decreased in recent years. This is correct. India's exports of services are more than its imports of services. This is correct. This is known as surplus. Sorry, B is incorrect. India's import of iron and steel chemicals have increased in recent years. You go and see, because of dumping, even it holds today also, holds true today also, that because of cheap steel which is available in foreign market, the steel imports have surged rather than reduced. So this is incorrect. India suffers from an overall trade or current account deficit. This is also correct. India has a current account deficit of 1.2% of GDP, round about this. It hovers around about 1 to 1.2%, between 1 to 1.2% of GDP. That is well within the manageable range. So 1, 3 and 4 are correct. D is the correct answer. So the Western Texas Intermediate is nothing but crude oil. It refers to crude oil pricing. So there is a WTI or there is Brent. These are nothing but mass level or wholesale trading areas where crude oil prices are justified. They are traded at these prices, and that becomes the international crude oil prices. 14th A is the correct answer. 15th question. In the context of the Indian economy, non-financial debt, all debt taken from non-financial sources. Includes which of the following? Housing loans can be there, amount outstanding on credit cards can be there, treasury bills, all of them can be there. This is again a business studies question. So some of the questions are asked. If you are not comfortable, try to skip those questions. If you are not comfortable, if you are not even knowing the concepts behind it. With reference to the trade related investment measures, TRIMS, quantitative restrictions on import by foreign investors are prohibited. There cannot be any quota by foreign investors. Okay, they apply to investment measures related to only trade, only goods, not to services. So that is why second is incorrect. They are not concerned with regulation on foreign investment. This is correct. Only applies to domestic industries. Because already obviously they want to have open trade, so they will want to have more entry, free entry for foreign investment, so that applies to domestic trade, so sorry, domestic industries only. So 1 and 3 are correct, C is the correct answer. 17th question, if the RBI decides to adopt an expansionary monetary policy, means money supply increases, so what would it not do? So basically reduce CRR, SLR, MSF, repo, etc. If this is done, this is known as expansionary. And but we have been asked which it would not do. So if that is counter to cut and optimize the CRR, SLR, this is actually correct. So we are talking about which it will not do. Second, it will not do. It will not increase the MSF rate. Rather, it would reduce the MSF rate, because the RBI is following expansionary monetary policy. So it needs to reduce the MSF, CRR, SLR, whatsoever is there, or increase liquidity by by buying government securities in the open market operations. Apart from that, all are correct. So second is correct because we have been asked it will not do. Okay. With reference to the Indian economy after 1991 economic liberalization, consider the following statements. Worker productivity has increased in urban area as well as rural areas. The productivity per unit worker has improved. The percentage share of rural areas in the workforce has steadily increased. No. In rural areas, the growth of non-farm economy has increased. Yes, people have switched from farming towards non-farming activity, and the growth rate in rural employment has decreased. Obviously, people are switching to urban areas. So 3 and 4 are only correct. B is the correct answer for this particular question. Okay. 19th question. I guess this is the last question for 2020 paper. Consider the following statements. In terms of short-term credit delivery to the agriculture sector, district central cooperative banks deliver more credit in comparison to RRBs and scheduled commercial bank. Incorrect. RRBs and scheduled commercial bank together disperse around about 75 to 80% of total agricultural credit, not DCCBs. One of the most important function of DCCBs is to provide funds to the PACs. This is correct. So we have 3 tier. First state, then DCCB, and third is PACs at the grassroots level. So they funded DC to DCCB and DCCB funds to PACs. This is how the fund flows. So B is only correct. So we'll move to the 2019 questions which were asked in 2019 from the economy section in the prelims paper. So the first question is, with reference to land reforms in independent India, which one of the following statement is correct? The ceilings were aimed at family holding and not individual holding? No, opposite. It applied to individual holding because people started bypassing these family norms by divorcing each other and creating 2 separate families. Sons were married off to say that they are different families to increase the thresholds of the land which could be, you can say, held for personal cultivation. So this is incorrect. The major aim of land reform was providing agricultural land to all the landless. This is correct. Okay, it resulted in cultivation of cash crops, no consideration of cash crops. Land reforms permitted no exemptions to ceiling limit. This is also incorrect. There were certain exemptions also because different states created different ceiling acts. Okay, so B is only correct. B is the correct answer for this particular question. Second question, in a given year, official poverty lines are higher in some states than in other states, all because the price levels vary from state to state. Even the minimum wages vary state to state. So that is why the official poverty line at the national level, that would be the national value. However, on the state, there would be different poverty levels as compared to different states because the prices are different. Okay, the purchasing power of the common population is different. So B is the correct answer for this particular question. Third, amongst the following, which of the largest exporters of rice? It is India. India. Second is Thailand. So that is why India has always been dragged by Thailand of violating those amber box subsidies, because they feel that Thailand has always accused India of using this minimum support price in public distribution system to incentivize more production of rice in a way that rice is even exported. Okay, so they are actually distorting the global trade. P is the correct answer. Fourth question. Consider the following statements. Coal sector was nationalized by the government of India and Indira Gandhi. This is correct. In 1974, I guess this was nationalized. Coal blocks are auctioned based on auction rather than allocated based on auction rather than lottery. Till recently, India imported coal to meet the shortfall of domestic supply, but now India is self-sufficient. No, India still imports high-quality coal. Some of those coal-fired power plants, they require high-quality coal, and India still imports. So one is only correct. So as per the Industrial Employment Standing Orders Central Amendment Rule 2018, if rules for fixed term employment are implemented, it becomes easier for the firms to lay off workers. This is known as easy hire and fire policy. Easy hire and fire policy. No notice of termination of employment shall be necessary in the case of temporary worker. This is also correct. Both the statements are correct. These are factual information. If you know it, you could try it. These types of question may even appear in future prelims also. So if you know it, if you have read well, then try to attempt these questions. Else, you can skip these things or try to have that intelligent guess. Okay. So the sixth question is the services area approach is related to lead bank scheme. So lead bank scheme was all about the financial inclusion drive of the Reserve Bank of India, where a bank in a district which is less financially included in terms of the banking system, in terms of the number of branches, their service area approach was created that one branch was catering to say many villages in a way that they should not start competing amongst themselves. Rather, the idea should be there should be higher financial inclusion. More people should be banked rather than more competition. Seventh question. Consider the following statements. Most of India's external debts is owned by government entities. No, it is external commercial borrowings or NR deposits rather than external debts or the public debt in foreign denomination. This is incorrect. All of India's external debt is denominated in US dollar. No, obviously they are denominated in yen also. They are denominated in pounds and euro also. Both the statements are incorrect. D is the correct answer. You can have that intelligent guess. All extreme statements, you can try to have an intelligent guess. Okay, if they are violating the norms. Which of the following is not included in the assets? Deposits. These are liabilities for bank. These are liabilities for banks. Advances are loans and these are assets. Investments, obviously assets, and money at call and short notice, these are also assets because these have been given as advances for interbank transactions. Okay, but deposits are liabilities. So this is the correct answer. Basically I'm saying that deposits are not assets but deposit as per the question. This is correct. In the context of India, in which of the following factors are contributors to reducing the risk of currency crisis? Currency crisis means rapid depreciation of Indian currency. of Indian rupees. This is currency crisis. Okay, now you'll try to see whether these factors are leading to depreciation or not. The foreign currency earnings of IT sector would contribute to reducing. So this would reduce it. Obviously, if there is more dollar inflow, if there is more earnings in foreign currency, that would mean the supply of foreign currency is more rather than depreciation. Increasing the government expenditure non-related. Remittance from Indians abroad, this would also lead to more dollar inflows and that would reduce the currency crisis. So 1 and 3 are reducing the effects of currency crisis. So B is the correct answer. 10th question. Which of the following is issued by registered foreign portfolio investors to overseas investors who want to be part of Indian stock exchange without registration? This is participatory note. This is also known as P note. So it happens like that. Okay, the foreign portfolio investors which are registered with the SEBI Securities and Exchange Board of India, they trade in Indian market and in turn they issue P note which are subscribed or bought by investors, individual investors or retail investors without getting themselves registered. Those individual investors or foreign or those retail investors are not required to register themselves with the Securities and Exchange Board of India, the SEBI. Okay, through P note transaction. Eleventh question. With reference to India's 5-year plans, a factual question. So, you can say that now they are less reluctant. They are more reluctant towards asking some of these questions. Else, you can have a gauge on these development. From the second 5-year plan, there was determined thrust towards basic and capital goods industry. This was Nehru-Mahalanobis model. Nehru-Mahalanobis model. This is correct. The fourth 5-year plan adopted correcting the earlier trends of increased concentration of wealth and economic power. This is correct. In the fifth 5-year plan, for the first time, financial sector was included. No, it was all about self-sufficiency and poverty eradication. Nothing about part of financial inclusion and all these things. Okay, so 1 and 2 are only correct. 12th question. What is the purpose of intercreditor agreement? Intercreditor agreement is to aim at faster resolution of stressed assets of rupees 150 crore or more which are under consortium lending. So lending by group of creditors. A similar question was asked in 2024, that is syndicated lending. So consortium lending, syndicated lending are similar, where a particular loan is actually dispersed by a number of lenders, number of creditors. Like there could be 3 or 4 banks, they'll be joining hands and they'll be actually furnishing all those loans which are higher in ticket size. Okay, D is the correct answer. So the chairman of public sector bank are selected by the Bank Board Bureau. This question has been repeated. This has changed into Financial Services Institution Board in 2019, I guess. Okay, Bank Board Bureau. So which one of the following is not a sub-index of the World Bank Ease of Doing Business Index? Now it has been scrapped. Because of allegations that these index, the components were not reflective of the true realities, or there were certain manipulation in data also. So maintenance of law and order is not a part of sub-components of the ease of doing business index. So the economic cost of food grains of the Food Corporation of India. So FCI procures plus stores plus distributes food grains. So the costs are procurement, holding and distribution cost. All these things together is known as economic cost of food grains. And this is how the subsidies are extended to Food Corporation of India. So this is procurement incidentals plus distribution costs. Procurement incidentals includes procurement costs, incentives to farmers, or any holding in all these charges. Okay, C is the correct answer. So the question is, the purchasing power parity exchange rates are calculated by comparing the price of the same basket of goods and services in different country. Correct. Okay, a basket of goods and services are created and they are measured in say India and vis-a-vis in other country. If there is price differential, then these are normalized so that GDP values are normalized in PPP terms. This is correct. In PPP terms, India is the third largest economy. After first is China at around about 37 trillion USD. Second is USA at 30 trillion USD. And third is India around about 16 trillion USD. This is PPP. I'm talking about PPP. In nominal terms, India is 4.1 trillion USD currently in 2025 March. This is incorrect. So A is correct for question number 16. Okay. Question 17 says that amongst the agricultural commodities imported by India, which of the following accounts for the highest import in terms of value? It is vegetable oil. So India is the largest importer of, one of the largest importers of crude oil as well as cooking oil, edible oil also. Okay. So that is why National Mission on Edible Oil has been launched, so that India's oilseed production is increased and India becomes self-sufficient in oilseed production and edible oil production. So D is the correct answer for question number 17. The penultimate question. Which one of the following is not, again not, the most likely measure of the government or RBI takes to stop the slide of Indian rupee? So which of the steps which will the government or RBI will not take to stop the slide? To curbing imports of essential goods and promoting exports. Obviously, this is not the step to reduce. Encouraging Indian borrowers, again we are talking about not, keep this in mind. Easing conditions to external commercial borrowing, obviously not, because all these things would lead to more dollar inflows and thus reducing the slide of rupee, the depreciation of Indian rupee. We have been asked which of them will not be taken following an expansionary monetary policy. If the government follows this, it will lead to loss of or erosion of purchasing power of local currency. And would lead to thus depreciation of currency. Okay, so D is the correct answer for this particular question. Now coming to the last question, I guess, which was asked in 2019 paper, was the Reserve Bank of India's recent directives to storage of payment system data, popularly known as data diktat, command the payment system providers that they shall ensure that there is local storage of data localization. This is correct. They shall ensure that systems are owned and operated by public sector enterprises. Nothing as such. They shall submit the consolidated system audit report to the CERT-in, Computer Emergency Response Team, rather than the Auditor or the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So this is also incorrect. So only A is the correct answer. RBI diktat that became famous in 2018. Data localization, and this is how the Data Protection Act has been created, and all these things are the developments behind all this DPDP Act. Okay, so first is only correct. So that concludes, I guess. We'll see if there is another question or not. So that concludes all the questions which have been asked in these 3 years. So thank you.